Hey everybody, it's Sam Jacobs. Welcome back to the Sales Hacker Podcast. We are here for Friday Fundamentals, the short 5 to 10 minute format where we bring you actionable insights to help make a difference in what you do today. I'm your host, Sam Jacobs, founder of the Revenue Collective. We are now pretty much every city in the world, over 1,800 members. And we've got back on the show this week's guest, Patrik Svanstrom, who is the Vice President of EMEA Sales for Datadog, one of the fastest growing SaaS companies in the world, went public last year, and helping companies navigate this transition to the cloud, one of the standards out there. So they're doing an incredible job. They're growing very quickly in EMEA. They're hiring, by the way. So if you need a job in this difficult labor market, Datadog might be the place to go. And we've got Patrik back on the show to ask him a very simple question, which is, what are the keys to decide how you build, adapt, and scale your go-to-market sales motion? What questions do you need to be able to answer affirmatively, and how should you ask them? So we're going to get to that really quickly. Before we do, we want to thank our sponsor. Friday Fundamentals is brought to you by Outreach. Outreach triples the productivity of sales teams and empowers them to drive predictable and measurable revenue growth. By prioritizing the right activities and scaling customer engagement with intelligent automation, Outreach makes customer-facing teams more effective and improves visibility into what really drives results. Now, Patrik, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you. So the question we have for you today on Friday Fundamentals is, what are the key questions that you need to ask in order to build, adapt, and scale your go-to-market sales motion?
It's a very good and difficult question that I think every single startup is or should be asking themselves. And I think there is sometimes a too generic approach on how your sales leaders, what people you hire, and what you ask them to go and do. It's not just about hiring good salespeople, throwing magic at them, and get them to run in the field. You got to ask yourself some of the core questions that actually founds the startup in itself, which is, what value will you actually accomplish for the customer, and how easy or hard is it with the current product or service you provide for the customer to get to that value. I guess another one is how differentiated are you versus competition, and is that differentiation increasing, staying flat, or how is the differentiation being developed? I guess also in order to understand how fast you should scale, and as an example, how many SDRs over what markets you should hire is based upon, is there an underlying mega trend going on in the market supporting you? Are you trying to create that mega trend? And it sounds like very basic questions, but I've been experienced startup conversations sometimes where you see that there isn't a common view in the company around these things. And then, of course, it gets very hard to build the right sales approach, whether that's business development focused or whether that's like building pipeline and growing out in mass, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it must impact, if you don't have the same answers across the company, that impacts messaging as well. So, you can hire SDRs, but they're all saying different things or saying something out of alignment with what your product actually does potentially.
Absolutely. And what you're touching upon there is how super important it is that you actually have product management, marketing, and sales working closely together, so they have the same view on where you actually are in the market adoption cycle and what you want to get out of the customer interactions.
Yeah. And as to your point about the megatrend is, obviously, if you're trying to create it, that's not as good as if you are participating in a broader global megatrend.
Well, I'd say it could be if you come with an absolute amazing technology innovation that creates a lot of value for a customer, and you think you're 5 years ahead of any competitor, then you have time to build the market if your investors are supporting that. But then you got to understand, how do I build that, and what is my dependency on partner relationships, etc. But if you don't have a mega trend and you're going to build it, and you start with hiring 10 SDRs and think you're going to close deals, then you have a mismatch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So restating it, tell me if I get this correctly, but the questions that you need to answer are, first of all, what value do your customers actually acknowledge? How easy or hard is it for customers to use and consume that value? How differentiated are you in the marketplace? And is there a mega trend that's supporting your growth or not? Or do you have to create it? Are those the key questions?
I think if you have common answers across the board in a company on those, you're in a good spot.
That sounds great. Patrik, thanks so much for being on the show. Remind us if folks want to reach out to you. I know that you obviously can't share specific financials, but it sounds like things are going well at Datadog, and these are difficult times in the labor market. So if folks want to apply or want to reach out to you, what's the best way? What's your preferred method of communication?
Yeah, absolutely. We have reached that phase where we know the customer value, etc. So we are definitely hiring still across every theater globally. And if you want to reach me, I think the easiest way is on LinkedIn, and you search for Patrik with K, no C, and Svanstrom, S-V-A-N, Svanstrom on LinkedIn.
That sounds great. If folks want to reach me, they can. LinkedIn.com/in/Sam F. Jacobs. Thanks again to our sponsor, Outreach, who triples the productivity of sales teams and empowers them to drive predictable and measurable revenue growth. We appreciate their support as always. We hope you're staying safe and sound wherever you are in the world. And we'll talk to you next time. Patrik, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.